What's happening, guys? Charles Salisbury here. Thank you so much for joining me as ever. Today we're going to be chatting about Purple shampoo. Now this came from a good friend of mine who asked me the question of should I be using it, and I was kind of talking through whether they should be using it or not, and I thought, do you know what? I've not done a video in a long time. My apologies for that. Let's give it a try. Let's explain once and for all whether you should be using Purple shampoo or not, the myths about it, the marketing promises. Let's cut through that crap and let's actually look at what it does. First of all, what is a purple shampoo? Purple shampoo or silver shampoo, you may have seen both of these. They are quite simply a cleansing product like a shampoo with a tiny bit of pigment in. These will be a purple colour. They're also called silver shampoos, and the reason why is we're going to touch on later, but basically they're exactly the same thing. Many brands do these. You can pick some up for a couple of quid from places like Superdrug or Boots or your high street stores, or you can pick up your very expensive salon ranging professional products. These are like normal shampoos, so the quality of the ingredients, it's not necessarily the quality of the pigment that you're paying for. They probably use not the same but a very similar style of pigmentation. The quality will be still in the shampoo, as with everything. So before we continue on to how they work and whether you personally should be using them, I want to touch a little bit on costing. Shampoos are something that I do spend a little bit more on, simply because it's the quality of the cleansing product. I find cheap cleansers can strip the hair too much. They can end up dry, they can end up broken, they can end up damaged, and you can end up quite an itchy scalp. That being said, you don't want to go too overboard if it's out your budget. We've discussed on this channel before, and I will say it again, I prefer counterintuitively and against what a lot of other people recommend, I prefer to spend a bit more on my shampoo than I would my conditioner. I think conditioner just seals the hair, adds moisture, and I don't necessarily think you need there are amazing expensive ones, but I think a lot of people can cut back on that. I would prefer to spend a little bit more on my shampoo, which, like I said, has cleansing products in it. I don't want to use stuff that's going to damage the skin, going to remove all the oils, going to dry out the hair, but then I've got the tangliest hair in the world and I get quite itchy, dry skin. Then that's probably where you need to be, because conditioner realistically is only going to go from here to here. It's not going to touch your skin. So yeah, that's my personal view, and it's what I recommend my clients as well. So how does purple shampoo work? What does it do and why do you need it? Well, for this one we need to go a little bit into colour theory. So for all you artists, photographers or other hairdressers, you'll kind of know this stuff anyway, or you should. As for everybody else who probably haven't looked at it or thought about it since school, since you were painting pictures in school with your acrylics, dead simply, massively oversimplified. You will have seen this star. Now in this star, there is the primary colours, red, yellow, blue, and there's your secondary colours, orange, purple, green. Now they are in this particular star, especially for hairdressing, because hair colouring is all about neutralisation. It's all about looking at what you've got and then putting something on top of that to bring it back to natural, or to exaggerate that thing. But for them today, we're talking about making it natural and making it a clean, crisp blonde. Now I say blonde, we are going to come back to that in a second of why these only work on blondes, but for the moment I just want to stick on this. So looking at the star, you'll notice about neutralisation. If you have green hair, for example, then the old wives' tale of putting on tomato ketchup, because red neutralises green. But today what we're going to focus on is yellow and purple. Hair that is too yellow or golden in hairdressing terms, you can use a little bit of purple or purple shampoo to kind of bring that back to a bit of a cleaner blonde, a bit of a more natural, so it's not quite so in your face golden. So put simply, using the purple shampoo will reduce the amount of yellow in your hair. Needless to say, if you're going to use a little bit more red in your hair, then it would go orange, and if you were to use a little bit more blue, it would probably go green. So purple is your best neutralizer for that thing. It's also the safest and it's also, dare I say, safer and easier to use. If you're using a blue one, it will make a big strong difference. Blue pigment leaves the hair first, so it's the hardest to put in. But if you put it on yellow hair, it is going to go quite green. This is why chlorine can make your hair, because chlorine itself is like a bluey green colour. You never really see it because it's a gas. But as a substance, it's apparently blue or green. So when you're in a chlorinated pool, that's when you'll get your green hair. If you have quite porous yellow hair, that'll kind of over neutralize it and you'll end up with your green hair. This also comes back to what we were saying before about why it only works on blonde hair. If you were using my hair, for example, there is especially from here up, there is so little yellow tone within it, it's not going to make it any ashier. So when we say ash, we're saying your blues and your purples mainly. And so if you want to get rid of your warmth in hair that's my natural hair colour, purple shampoo is not going to do much. It might take a tiny bit of the yellow gloss off, but it's not going to get rid of the red and it's not going to get rid of the yellow. If you do want to get rid of the warmth within the hair like mine, do not do it yourself because it will very quickly end up green or black. You can very quickly over neutralize something. You really need a professional when it's that kind of level. The reason why purple shampoo works on blondes is that things wash out quite quickly on blondes and you have to use it you can see it change a little bit more. You might have seen people who overuse purple shampoo who have quite almost purple hair. Like it goes a little bit too ashy and too purple. Well, that will wash out eventually, but you can see that stage and that building up happening, so you can just reduce the amount yourself. Whereas on hair like mine, you would need to get a professional to do it. So far, put simply, I am smashing through this really quick because you can go through colour theory for the rest of your life as a hairdresser. So I just want to bang it out dead quick so it's consumer advice. It's a shampoo with a little bit of purple pigmentation in it. They're called silver or purple shampoos. Usually, if you get them on the high street, they're called silver because silver sounds nicer than purple. But if you say to a hairdresser a purple shampoo, they'll know exactly what you mean. They work by neutralizing the yellow in your hair, so if you have highlighted hair or blonde hair, they will take out the yellowness from it or the golden from it and bring it back to a more neutral, cleaner blonde. You need to be careful of overusing them because it can, if you have that lighter hair, because they eventually can turn your hair a tiny bit purple if you are overusing them and you have quite white, porous hair. Now, will they work on balayage? The person that asked me about this had balayaged hair. And because purple only works on yellow and not on orange, you won't see that much of an effect. So like I said before, even on my hair, down, this isn't balayage, this is natural, but if you have your warmer golden pieces, it's not going to neutralize them enough to bring it cleaner. But then that's probably not what you're after anyway. If you want a natural, nice look, a sun-kissed look, then they are naturally warmer anyway, so don't worry if your hair feels a bit brassy or a bit orange. Like it will only feel that way for you. You don't want almost clean blonde ends with the darkness. That's quite a contrast. You very much want it to fade in. Golden tones are a lot more natural than your ashy tone. So only be using them on your yellow hair. So they're not a fix-all. A lot of people say that they'll just bring your hair ashy, but really now we know that unless you've got a lot of yellow tone in your hair, it's not going to have the same effect. And the lighter your hair is, the more effect it's going to have. If you've got very dark hair, you've basically barely got any yellow tone anyway, they're not going to have that much of an effect. Another key point to bear in mind: these will not make your hair blonder or lighter. In fact, the exact opposite will happen. Ash is about half a shade or tone darker than gold, as weird as it sounds. Even though they're the same level, blue ash or purple ash, or ash is the word we use for purple or blue in the hairdressing salon because it sounds a bit nicer than blue. In fact, if you want to go through the entire thing, it is orange is copper, green is metallic, red is red, obviously, yellow is golden, blue is ash, purple is purple ash or iridescent. Sounds a lot nicer, doesn't it? Let me give you a little demonstration on this. You will see now, even though I haven't changed any of the lighting, haven't changed any of the editor, haven't changed the exposure, haven't changed any of the colour, any of the contrasts or brightened any shadows, but what you're going to notice is that one half of me is darker than the other half, and that is simply because gold shines to our light eyes brighter than a grey does. And return. So what that means is if you're using it, if you want bright hair, light hair, if you want to go lighter, brighter, blonder, this is actually going to do the opposite and bring it back down to your eye. It will still stay roughly the same shade technically, but it will to the eye look a little bit darker because it's more ashy, which again is why I wouldn't recommend it on your like balayaged hair, because if it takes away that yellow tone, you're going to end up with a lot. It's going to be strong enough to take away the yellow tone, but it's not going to be strong enough to take away the orange tone. So you can end up with it looking a little bit darker and a little bit more orange counterintuitively, even though it's supposed to add cool to it. Again, this is colour theory. It is supposed to be a short, sharp video on who should be using it and who isn't. Years and years and years of colour theory to be had, and it's super interesting if you like that kind of stuff. I know that a lot of books do it. I know that in like the Tate Gallery they do great books about colour theory, and a lot of artists have written theses about how colour theory affects the eye. So if you're interested in that, take it out. I want to keep this nice and short for consumer advice. Whilst we're talking about consumer advice, another main key point, these have pigment in them, therefore you can be allergic to them. Irrelevant, but I have never met anybody that is allergic to these shampoos, but that is completely by the by. You really need to patch test them. So on the instructions somewhere or on the bottle itself, it will tell you how to safely use it. It's usually a patch test is behind the ear for 24 to 48 hours, and then you'll see if you have a reaction. But make sure you're using this, because even if you've had colour all your life and you've had highlights on your life, highlights don't necessarily touch the scalp, and if they've just toned the ends or they've not toned it at all, you don't know whether you have any allergy or any allergic reaction. So really make sure you do your allergy tests. That goes for all colour. Always have an allergy test. If you're going to do it at home and you're going to do a packet dye, always read the label and do an allergy test. You cannot be safe enough. So to recap, should you be using purple shampoo if you have too much yellow tone that you want to get rid of, if you're blonde enough that it's going to make a difference, you've done your allergy test and you've passed it, flying colours, congratulations if you have, and you don't mind it going a fraction darker. Fifth is how often should you be using it? Well, that depends on how much yellow tone you have. If you're a heavy smoker and you eat a lot of turmeric, then probably fairly often. If you have slightly yellowing hair, then probably once a week. This product will build up. So even though it's a cleansing product and it will be removing the pigment again, it will still be putting it in there and leaving it in there. So do make sure, do keep an eye on what you're doing. If you have bad condition hair, so for example, you've got dry ends like mine, because I haven't had a haircut because of lockdown. I should cut my own hair. If you want to see a video of me doing a haircut on myself, I am a professional hairdresser obviously, then ask for that, because that would be good. I don't mind doing a step-by-step of just a one length trim, if you'd enjoy that. Leave your comments below. Sidetracked, as ever. If you have very dry, damaged hair, then this will pick up the purple more than this. Not because of colour, even if it's the same colour all the way down. Your dry, porous hair, because of the cuticle being snapped off, as we've spoken about in other videos, more pigment is going to get into the hair, and so you're going to have more colour deposit, which means it's going to go more purple quicker. So do be careful, do check from roots to end your hair, and don't just go, oh yeah, I need some purple shampoo, it's that time of the week again. Because you have to look at your hair every time you're using it to make sure it doesn't build up. And there we have it. I hope that was useful. I really hope. If you have any questions at all, please, I don't mind doing another video because I know this has been really quick and a bit of a jump through. If you have any questions, please, in the comments, I will do my best to answer them. Or if there's enough questions and I've done a bad job of explaining it this time, I will do a second video, a second part where I explain a little bit more of colour theory. Again, if you'd like to see videos on colour theory, I don't want to make this channel too hairdresser focused. I want to make this more consumer and consumer advice focused, but if you're interested in that kind of stuff, I don't mind making videos about that, explaining it a lot more in depth. Again, in the comments, if you want to see videos like that, that's great. If you want to see me just talking about how to deal with your hair and how to deal with your questions about how to keep it nice and fresh and nice and lovely, please in the comments below. Like, subscribe. I hope you stay positive and your tests stay negative. Take care, guys.